Congressman, thank you so much for joining us. You heard Speaker Pelosi and the Secretary Mnuchin in an op-ed for the Washington Examiner. Former Trump senior economic advisor Stephen Moore said, quote, "These benefits are not a life preserver, but a job killer." He suggests a payroll tax cut instead. What is your response?
I think he's absolutely right, and I think that Pelosi is absolutely wrong. If you can make more money not working than working, why would you want to go back to work? But that begs the all-important question, why aren't we letting people get back to work? The government cannot support the economy for any appreciable period of time because the government does not generate money for the economy. It works exactly the opposite. The economy is what generates revenues for the government. You shut down the economy, you shut down the revenues that government relies upon for its programs. So this whole nonsense that we can support the entire economy indefinitely while locking down the population is absurd, and it is running up a debt that will be robbing our future of any kind of serious economic growth. Every $1 trillion we throw around in Washington, think about that as $8,000 added to your credit card statement if you're an average family. That's all money that the IRS will insist that you pay back through your future taxes. That means less economic growth, less money for to meet the needs of the next generation. It is terribly self-destructive policy. And when I look at the countries that declined to shut down, declined to lock down their populations, countries like Sweden and the Netherlands, if you look at the mortality curves, it's all but over in those countries. It's well behind them now. And the result is they've suffered a fraction of the economic damage as the rest of the world that has shut down. They've gotten through their virus curve, and they're looking forward to the future. Sweden and Netherlands got it right. We got it wrong.
Absolutely. Now, Congressman, let's turn to your home state of California. Obviously, Governor Gavin Newsom warned two cities last week that they could collectively lose about $600,000 of federal coronavirus relief unless they comply with state health regulations. Both cities are located in the hard-hit San Quentin Valley, with Newsom has ordered the closure of bars, indoor dining, gyms, and other venues were at high risk of transmitting the virus. To that point, what do you think should be happening in your home state to make sure that the people who need to get back to work to be able to put food on their table have a pathway to get back on their feet in a post-COVID-19 economy?
Is not complicated. Restore freedom to those communities. Quarantine is a police power of local governments directed at an individual who has become infected with a contagious disease and orders them to stay at home until they have recovered from that contagious disease. What is being exercised right now is something fundamentally different. The wholesale lockdown of an entire population of healthy people on the pretext that they might catch the disease. And we have seen very clearly from the fatality rates that if you're under 50 years old and have no underlying health problems, COVID is much less of a threat to your health than the simple flu. It is a threat to those who are elderly, which is why the elderly countries like Sweden and the Netherlands told their elderly, stay at home, everybody else get on with your lives. The virus went through the healthy population, and it's now behind them. Now the old folks can come out safely. That's what we should have done. But there's no substitute for reopening of our economy, our society, for all those who are not at high risk.
Absolutely. And obviously, here in New York, we've seen the difficult struggle that we've had to make sure that we're keeping the elderly safe. Obviously, New York, in many cases, leading the nation when it comes to senior deaths. What are the things that you think can be done at the federal level to make sure that you don't have governors implementing policies that keep our most vulnerable in a worse predicament than they currently are?
Well, there's a reason why so many elderly died of coronavirus in New York. The governor ordered nursing homes to take in infected patients. They packed the nursing homes with infected patients, and the virus ran rampant. Our governor in California gave the same order, although he withdrew it after a few days. What can the federal government do? I think the federal government needs to insist we simply cannot continue to support these lockdowns of states that are reopening should be eligible for relief. Those local governments should be have the relief available without it being intercepted by the state governments. That's what's happened here in California. We sent a lot of money for local government support. It's all being held up in Sacramento whenever the governor takes a dislike to a particular community. Surprise, surprise, are all Republican communities. In fact, we had a Placer County supervisor here who was told that he was jeopardizing funds that that the federal government sent to the state, and the state was holding. It was supposed to go to Placer County. He was told he's jeopardizing those funds, not because of any vote that he cast or any action that the Board of Supervisors took, but they didn't like his attitude.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Congressman, we have to leave it there. Congressman McClintock, thank you so much for joining us